It's Holden. It's JBC. JBC's on a cruise, by the way, a nerd cruise. I put that on the bottom. So JBC's not with us. We got Statsational. Hello, Stats. We're going to do week number 15, the 3 Saturday games. We'll do the main slate on DK from a betting perspective. Maybe we'll get into some more stuff too. MVPs. Obviously, got to get you the injury reports. What the hell's going on, man? JBC on a nerd cruise. He can't even hop on with us. I heard they had to redirect the boat so they could even play on FanDuel. FanDuel's a disaster.
Yeah, it's I don't know where they're going. I think they were supposed to go to the Bahamas. The weather's getting a little sketchy here right now. I'm in the Tampa area, so we're getting some storms coming in by the morning. Got some flooding advisory. So I assume that's what he was hitting somewhere in the Atlantic. So yeah, they had to redirect him. His internet's a little spotty. So yeah, I don't know why. Apparently he told me a lot of people didn't show up for it because you can't get into the games. You can't you're in international waters. You can't reg the games. So it makes no sense. Usually they do these things in a place where they like to do them now, where in a state where you could bet, because that kind of doubles the action, right? So they can throw all the big hitters in a state where you could bet. But this time they threw everybody on the water. So yeah, JBC's floating around somewhere in either the Gulf or the Atlantic. I don't know where he is.
Good luck, JBC. I mean, the guy went nuts though. He totally pwned me too with the Zach Wilson call last week. He was on the Jets, so that kind of sucked for me.
Well, listen. I told you I feel like Zach Wilson will be a good quarterback in this league somewhere. I still say that. So yeah, we like the Jets. We had this back-to-back pretty solid weeks.
Great weeks.
Yeah. Not even solid. Yeah. Phenomenal weeks. So we'll see if we can continue it.
And last night I tailed you guys on the Raiders -3. That was the least sweaty thing I've ever done in my life, I think.
Yeah.
Once it was 42-0, I was kind of like, all right, I think we're going to win this bet.
That's actually the first time I got a glimpse of the game, because I was at a Christmas party and I walk out to the bar and it's 40. They were just scoring the 41st and then the extra point for 40. I said, I was in shock. This is a team coming off a 3-0 loss a week ago. So pretty remarkable.
I thought they should have fired Staley at halftime in that game. It was a complete debacle bringing him back for this season. Telesco deserved to lose his job too. Here's the one thing I'll say, and I'm kind of softy for this, just because when I've lost a couple of jobs, I learned twice in a newspaper, actually, the Boston Herald and the Washington Post. It sucks. Like, losing your job publicly really sucks. And people are, oh, screw Brandon Staley. Listen, I don't think the guy's a bad guy. I just think he's a bad head coach. And he's still fairly young. It's just unfortunate that everybody that digs into the numbers and kind of put their faith in him, it completely backfired. Even if we think the process is right, he just did not apply it properly. And that sucks.
Well, there was definitely something wrong. You can't have that quality of quarterback and continue to underperform the numbers, which they have done. So yeah, the head coach has to take the blame. Like I said, I'm a firm believer in the numbers, in the analytics. I just don't think most coaches utilize them properly. I don't think Staley was utilizing them properly. And yeah, it's obviously it didn't work. And I think the team just kind of bailed on him as well. So I think you could probably see that last night. I have to imagine as that thing was snowballing, this team was like, they had given up probably coming into this game. So we'll see. I don't know. Have they announced who the new coach is yet, or they just announced that he's out?
Yeah, some guy named GIF or Jiff. It's just completely ironic. His name is GIFF. I'm going to call him GIF. Maybe it's Jiff. I'm not sure. It's GIF or Jiff. Whoever. I think he was the outside linebackers coach. So they just threw him in there. What does it say about Kellen Moore? He can't get the head coaching job. I don't know. But I know Justin Herbert likes Kellen Moore, but they had to get rid of Telesco too. That was just a really, really bad situation. And it was one that I think a lot of us could see coming for a while. And it's Staley's defense stunk. He's supposed to be a defensive genius. I think he goes back and he's going to be a good coordinator. He just doesn't have to worry about being a head coach.
You know my point of view on these guys. Don't hire a guy because he's a great coordinator somewhere. And certainly don't hire these guys who are coming off of, especially the offensive coordinators who have great quarterbacks that sort of makes them a great offensive coordinator. So I'd much rather hire great coordinators to do coordinating job.
Yeah.
The head coaching job is that's a different animal. It's managing I always go back to Mike Tomlin. Go look at Mike Tomlin. Go look at Jim Harbaugh. Those guys manage a team really well. There's a reason that a guy like Tomlin outperforms his numbers year in, year out with the quality of team that he has. And I just think he's a great manager, and he's a guy that people will run through a wall for. So, and you need that from a football team. You need to be a manager. You need to be the president of that team. And a lot of these guys are just more focused on calling plays.
How would you pronounce GIFF? GIF, right?
I believe you are correct.
I mean, you got to say GIF. It can't be GIF.
Well, actually, no. I've heard it both. I think
it's GIF.
I think it is GIF.
Now, I'm not talking about like the little
the peanut butter.
I'm not talking about the thing that we, put in Discord, these little
the GIFs. Those are GIFs.
They're GIFs, but we all call them GIFs. I just don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. Maybe it doesn't matter, but I'm fascinated by it. Absolutely fascinated by it. So he's been there for a while. Good luck. This team's a shit show. They still have Easton Stick in there, and as long as he's there, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. And poor Austin Eckler, man. It's tough to watch a running back's career just come to an end so quickly.
Yeah, no,
it's in the league.
But that's pretty much how running backs' careers do come to an end. They hit a wall, and then it's over. So that's the reason these guys don't get paid or are not recently getting paid what they think they deserve, just because it's like 4 years, 5 years, and then bring in the new guy. So that's just the way it works with running backs in this league. And unfortunately, you're going to see a lot. Maybe at the younger ages, a lot of these really great athletes just move to another position. A lot of them are moving to quarterback.
So we'll just have a passing league?
Well, it's kind of what we have now.
It's about to change, buddy. It's about to change with the weather, hopefully getting cold. But I will say we're here in mid-December, and we just don't have any games in the 30s. Like all these games are in either inside or warmer weather. Even Green Bay's in the 40s. Usually by now we'll get some snow or some cold weather, but we're just not seeing it. Okay, let me get to the injury report as we tape this Friday afternoon. So a lot could change, but who's officially out? CJ Stroud is just about as officially out as possible. Concussion protocol, been in it all week. And Nico Collins is out. So we're talking Davis Mills to Noah Brown and John Mechie, and Dalton Schultz, who is back. Brian Robinson, out. Isaiah Pacheco, out. Who's in? Schultz, Jerome Ford, DJ Moore, questionable, likely plays. And then Taysom and Rashid Shaheed should be back for the Saints. Questionable, Tyreek, Godwin, Aaron Jones, and A.J. Dillon. So think about this. Watson's doubtful, and we'll see if either one of the running backs play, and then Olave is questionable as well. So that's what we got going on here. Let's get into the slate. 3-gamer on Saturday, and we'll start with the Vikings and the Bengals. So on DK, you can get the Vikings plus 3.5. This thing was 4 for a little bit. We're seeing it at 3 as well. The game's in Cincinnati. Are you buying into Browning now? And what about Nick Mullins on the other side? The Raiders bounced back from that awful performance and really stepped up this week. Can the Vikings at least make it a game offensively?
I think they definitely can. I don't love the side on this game, but I do think this game goes to the over. I think you see something. I mean, you're not going to see a similar game to last night, but something similar in the fact that the offense in one of those offenses in last week's game that was 3-0, the Zilch side of that game just went off, right? And I think Minnesota will score in this game as well. I don't think Cincinnati has the ability to stop them, and I don't think Minnesota will stop Cincinnati either. So I think this total of 40.5 is where we need to focus. I think this game's going to go to the over. I would have a slight lean on the Minnesota side. I'll take the points. I do like what I've seen out of Browning, though. So that's why I think I'm more confident in the over. I just think there's going to be points scored in this game. I think we're getting value just on the simple fact that game of 3-0 a week ago. I think we get a ton of value to the over side.
Trying to think of what I got the Vikings at. It might have been 4. Again, Browning has been so good. How long is this going to last is my question. Like, is he a legitimate backup in this league that can turn into a starting quarterback? I'm still not sold. Stats, I'm still not sold on that. And now we got another week where Justin Jefferson's back. I get Madison is out, but Madison has not been a game changer. I think Chandler will be just fine. You throw him back there. That's offensively. And then on the other side of things, again, Jamar Chase could bust one. I know we got, what was it? We need to start buying into Mixon, Josh said. Okay. I mean, that's maybe in a DFS. He's just not good. We're talking about betting here. That doesn't move the needle for me whatsoever. I don't even think he's nearly as explosive as Brown back there. So, yeah, I just look at both sides of the ball. I think the Vikings keep this thing close, really close. Am I saying they're going to win on the road? No. But I think they keep it within. Yeah, I got it at 4 minus 120, and now you're seeing it at 3.5 minus 10. So,
I mean, are you? Do the points just look? I mean, it just looks too few points in a game like this with defenses that are, kind of questionable.
Well, I think what the line is saying is that they really don't believe in the Vikings offense, and they think that Browning has just been performing above his expectations. So we'll see what happens. The way this thing goes under, though, is if the Vikings can establish the run and not make Nick Mullins make a lot of plays. I would think that's the game plan, right?
You would think that's the plan, but I don't know.
Everybody's got
40.5. Cincinnati. I think there's going to be points in this game. I think they both get into the 20s, no problem.
By the way, we got 2 totals in the 50s this week. Nothing at 50 on Saturday, but the Broncos Lions has come close. Let's get into our next one. Steelers Colts. This thing has moved from 2 down to Colts minus 1.5. 42.5 is the total. We got Gardner Minshew hosting Mitchell Trubisky and the Steelers. Listen, again, this has been a great coaching job by Shane Steichen. Defensively, it's a team that is a very good scoring defense. And although the Steelers are not a good football team, and I just look at the record and you say, there's no way they perform that well. I have a hard time betting against the Steelers here. I don't have a bet, but I do feel like that line is set perfectly. Thoughts on the side, and then we can get into the total.
Yeah, I don't think they made a mistake on the line. I think it's right. But, that line is sort of implying here that Pittsburgh's the better team. And I don't know if a lot of people would would think that, but I like Pittsburgh to just win this game outright.
Right.
I mean, I know it's not a ton of points, but I would just take it on the money line here. I like Pittsburgh to win the game. I think the total's going to be tricky. 41.5, 42.5 in that range. I think that's tricky, but I do like Pittsburgh outright winner for it. Again, I don't know if they're a better team, but I know they're better. I think they're better coached. I think they come out and win this game. I think the line is pushing you closer to I think the line's pushing you to take Indianapolis, and I'm going to go the other way. I like Pittsburgh.
What do you think about teasing the 1.5?
Tease them up. I have no problem with. Yeah, that's the old Wong, the old Wong teaser.
Mm-hmm.
Get it up to 7.5.
Yeah.
I got no problem. I think you've got quite a few options to pair them with. Nowadays we call them alt line parlays. I guess people don't really tease. We're showing our age, but yeah.
Well, they still have teaser. All the books you can still find teaser in the online books.
Yeah.
So we're okay. Do you don't have legal sports betting down there besides the Hard Rock?
We do now. Yeah, we do now. We got the Hard Rock is
that the only one?
Yeah. Well, that's a whole battle between the
I know
the Native American and DraftKings and FanDuel. They want to keep them out.
My parents live out in St. Augustine Island, which is on the other side. And I remember they launched Hard Rock and I was about to put my money in. And like right when I was doing it, I just messing around and I saw where there was a big fight between the two sides. And I'm like, I'm not even going to bet here. Just screw it. You play DFS down there, if I remember correctly.
DFS, not a problem. Yeah. I mean, that's why I originally had moved down. So.
Florida, man, give me a break. Third and final game, Saturday slate. Excited about this one. I truly am. 48 is the total. As the Broncos visit the Lions, the total is vacillated between 47 and 48.5, depending on where you're shopping. The Lions are 4.5-point favorites. Let's talk about alt lines again. Now, 4.5, but you're going through 7 and you're going through 10. Would you consider teasing the Broncos in this spot? Because I think they keep this thing close, and I wouldn't be shocked if they covered the 4.5. But if you really want to get comfortable, would you feel comfortable backing the Broncos at that number? Red hot team. They do struggle against the run, and that's something the Lions do really, really well. Goff, obviously, better at home and indoors. Defensively, we've seen some cracks with the Lions. And this Broncos defense, yeah, they struggle against the run, but they've been able to limit the scoring as well. Offensively, it's basically Sutton and Javonte Williams. They don't have a lot of firepower over there. But Russ didn't turn the ball over a lot. He had that 3 interception game. That was about it. I think that was against the Texans. Break this one down for us, Stats. Do you have a bet?
I love this game, and I love the dog here. I love I'll take the points, and I'll take them. I'll take them to win the game outright. I'll take the plus money on this one as well. I think Denver is playing really, really, really well at this point. You mentioned that they're weak against the run, which they are. If you look at their statistics over the course of the season, not very good against the run. If you look at them over the last 5 or 6 weeks, though, they've really corrected that quite a bit. They're not great against the run. They've now gotten themselves to pretty much average against the run. But what they've been impressive is if you just look at from a DFS standpoint, if you look at their last 5, I post the last 5 rankings, just DFS rankings on Run Pure. They are giving up almost 5 points under their opponent's average, what their opponents have averaged over the last 5 weeks, and 7.5 points under what wide receivers have averaged. So they've been doing a really good job of recent against the passing game. They're pretty average right now against the run game. So when you compare it to where they were, their numbers were so skewed early in the year because they were just terrible across the board, both defensively and offensively. They've turned it around on both sides. This is a team that's going to the playoffs. They've got some momentum. Probably should have won that Houston game. And this Detroit team, I think, is a team that's maybe going a little bit in the other direction. So I like this game. I think you can take a shot. I love the 4.5, but I would take a shot on the money line as well. Ooh. And I like just throw out some of these plus money bets. I don't mind it. You could take them for less. You're getting almost plus 200, plus 190 on this. You take it. If you're looking to bet for 1 unit, you bet it for half you risk a half a unit to win 1 unit. That's how I tend to play these games. I always look to win a unit. So whatever the bet is, if it's minus 200, I bet 2 units. If it's plus 200, I'm risking a half.
I don't think I've ever bet a minus 200.
It's rare. Yeah, a lot of times you like to parlay those. If you like if you got some value in hockey or MLB, that's where sometimes I like a big favorite.
I think a good teaser then would to get the Steelers to plus 7.5 and the Broncos to 10.5.
See, I don't like that a lot.
Why?
Because when you without getting too geeky with the numbers, basically you love to cross that 3 and the 7, and the bulk of games I'm forgetting now in my head. I want to say I could be wrong. It's like 39% of games will end between a 3 and a 7, something like that. I'm going off of numbers that from a long time ago in my head here. But when you lose some of the value crossing that 10. Like the 10 is a significant number, no doubt. But you don't really make it up. You don't get the value for it on that tease. I would rather, like I said, I'd rather just take them on the money line and take the plus money there, or even just lay 3 points with them.
And just take both teams on the money line, Steelers and Broncos, and then
do that too as a parlay.
Profit.
Yeah, nice little dog parlay.
Or just take them straight up on the money line.
Yeah.
1, you profit. Hit 2, you really profit. Okay,
yeah,
very good. That's why we talk to Stats. Like button would be great. We'd appreciate that. Hit the like button. Giblets 44, not giblets. Giblets, GIBLETS 44% off first payment. I mean, let's go. Bet side. Rocking and rolling. DFS side, rocking and rolling. Love it. Absolutely love it. You get so much. You can talk to all of our coordinators. You talk stats anytime you want to. You can talk to Big T when you need to. JSU, AP, JBC. JBC's just in there all the time. It's kind of weird going into the Discord not seeing JBC in there.
I know.
Is he going to have picks this week even?
We'll have some picks. I'm actually
boat.
Yeah, I'll be jumping in there after and getting our premium picks after the show. Get some of the premium picks up there. I've been in contact with them. We try to coordinate amongst ourselves on who we think the best picks are that we put up in the premium. So we'll get that up there for the subscribers. I got one quite. I didn't talk about the total on this game. I kind of like the under also on that. I don't know. I know you're a big under guy, but just with the fact that I think the Denver defense is playing so much better, I like the under.
It's been rough the last couple of weeks with the unders, though, because things just listen. Sometimes you get 3 or 4 weeks of unders and then it changes. This year, I got about 10, 11 weeks where it was just cleaning up on the unders. It's starting to switch, and we're starting to see some totals go up. If there's 2 shitty quarterbacks, it's just, good luck. Like last night, hey, bet the under. No, I'm not betting the under. 2 shitty teams can go off. Well, it happened. One team got 63 points. Okay. Now, as far as this goes, I do feel like these 2 teams with the Broncos defense could definitely go to the under. And I think and yes, I get it that The running defense has been a little bit better for the Broncos, but I think the way to get them is them just pounding Gibbs and Montgomery and trying to shove it that way. And then with the Broncos, how many explosive plays are you getting? You might get a couple actually with Sutton, but yeah, if I had to say, if you told me I had to bet it, I'd bet the under 48. Yeah, why not? I think it's probably somewhere in the 20s. Both these teams probably get in the low 20s though. I can see like a 24-20, 24-21. That's what I'm looking at. I can't see one of these teams putting up 30 though. Let's go on. We've got a nice big slate on Sunday. We'll start with the 1:00 games. Packers hosting the Bucks. Again, tons of injuries for every wide receiver on that team seems to be questionable, except for Watson, who's doubtful. Dylan has a broken thumb, running back. He might not play. They got to figure out ball security. Aaron Jones might play. So a lot of injuries. This is why I'm hesitant to get into this game, but the Packers are 3.5-point favorites at home. If you want, actually, you can find a 3 at a couple of places. I pulled all my money out of Superbook. Not a good book, but I'm seeing a 3 there. Stats, the total is 42.5. Sometimes you just got to say pass. I'm saying pass. I don't like this.
I'm with you on this one. Yeah, I can't. I just don't like the game. 3.5. I would lean towards the Tampa side on the plus 3.5. I think that total is spot on, right around the 42 number. I think is where it should be. Yeah, don't like this game at all. I don't have a good feel. I mean, Green Bay's coming off that's really a bad. That's a bad loss, but that was a tough spot for them as well going in there. I mean, there's a lot of hoopla behind DeVito and playing at home on Monday night. The fans, the Giant fans have had nothing to really root for this season, and I think they were kind of pumped up, and that was going to be a tough game for a team that's a mediocre team that was playing well going into that game. So we'll see if they could bounce back here at home. Lambeau, obviously, tough place to play. Now, you mentioned the weather. I would keep an eye on the weather.
Yep.
I think if it does get if we do get colder weather, then we're thinking I tend to like to fade the warm weather teams going into those cold weather environments. It's typically a good play. You do get some plus EV on that, but like you said, I don't think we're going to get the weather down in the 30s. If we can get it down in the 30s, I would like Green Bay a whole lot more. But if they're going to play this game in the 40s and the 50s, it's a tough call for me on them. I would lean on the Tampa side.
All right, speaking of weather, we got some weather in Charlotte this weekend. Falcons, Panthers. Falcons could be without both their offensive tackles. That could be huge. We've got a little bit of wind. Now, again, we're taping this Friday afternoon. Things change by Sunday, but we got rain. We got windy conditions. We got shitty quarterbacks. We got a total of 33.5. And the side here, the Falcons are 3-point favorites on the road. Oh, boy. Listen, I like backing the Panthers a couple of times this year, or a few times, even more recently, but I think the last 2 weeks, I don't even remember if it paid off last week or not, but I'll say this, 3 points, I don't think it's enough, even at home, to back them. I also can't back the Falcons, so I'm in another pickle. Pass. What about you, Stats?
I'm taking Carolina. I think Carolina wins this game this week.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think they beat Atlanta. You're right. You certainly can't take Atlanta as a favorite. Weren't they favored? I believe they were favored at Arizona, weren't they?
Can't do it.
Atlanta, they were favored on the road another time this year, and I think they lost that game. If my memory serves right. But this Carolina team, I feel like that we're seeing some improvement here from Young. The team has been getting better. They did cover. I think it was one of the ones that I had against JBC, the Carolina game, and they did cover. I'm trying to think which game that was. Against Tampa, maybe they covered. Yeah, they covered the 3.5 against Tampa a couple weeks ago. But I think they win this game. I think they're going to wind up beating Atlanta at home. I think this is the game that. I don't like Atlanta at all. I can't back Atlanta as a road favorite, and so I'm going to take the 3.5. But this is another one where I don't mind taking a little stab on the money line.
Second win of the year for the Panthers. You're calling it.
Yep.
You're calling it. Okay. Just when I thought Arthur Smith may have figured some stuff out. I did get a bet here in Giants Saints. I got the Giants at +6. You can still find a 6, a lot of 5.5s if you want to go the other way. Total is, again, pretty low at 39. And now we got Taysom back. You got Rashid Shaheed back. On the Giants side, Here's my only concern, and this is a narrative. This is not a numbers thing. Did I make a mistake back in the Giants because that big emotional win, national television? Do they go into New Orleans and have a letdown? I'm just going to say this. I don't think that the Saints are good. I think they have horrible quarterback play. I think defensively, we've seen the Giants kind of step up a little bit. And I'm not saying Danny DeVito is going to go off again, but 6 points for me with the Saints is a lot of points, which is why it's more of a numbers play than anything else, Stats. But talk to me here. Bad bet, Giants at 6, because as the week has gone on, I've kind of said, boy, is this a letdown spot? But that's not a numbers base. That's an opinion. Which side?
Yeah, I totally get that. Where I worry about that here too. Now the Giants going after that big win, going on the road. I fear the letdown. I don't love the side. The side of this game that I like is the total. I do like this game to go over. So I think we're going to see some points. I think the Saints will be able to put points up on the Giants. And the question is, can the Giants get enough points in this game? So I think we could get to, if the Giants score enough points, then I think it winds up being a Giants over parlay. But I do like the over side a little bit more. So I think we're going to get into the 20. I think they can get at least 24 points, New Orleans. And if they get to 24, we should be able to get this number over the 39, get to 40 points. So I think that's where it's at. This Giant defense doesn't scare me. I know, listen, I don't love the quarterback here for the Saints, but I think they'll be able to move the ball on them. They'll be able to run the ball on them. I think that's what we're going to see in this game. I do think they'll put enough points up on the board to get the game over. I think both teams are actually going to be able to run the ball fairly well. And we saw with DeVito, he could put some yardage up on the board with his legs as well here. So I think we'll get enough points. I like the over is a good play here for me. I know the Sharps actually came in on this at 38, and that's what pushed it up to the 39.
What are your power ratings say for this game as far as the spread?
On the spread, it actually has this as it should have been a 9-point game.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
All right. So I could have buyer's remorse on the Giants as the week comes along. But again, I looked at the number and I said 6 is fine. I'll back the Giants here. And as the week went on, I said, maybe not. But I'm going to stick with it. We'll stick with it and we'll see what happens.
You worry about the New York teams with all this hype that's going on.
Correct.
And like all the, being overbet. I mean, that's what you kind of worry about. And they're in that no man's land. That 5.5, that line can move, 5.5 moves to 6.5 or 4.5 in a blink. It doesn't take much to move that line. So they've kind of got it right in the middle there, where it's never going to get to 7. It's never going to get to 3. So that's what you worry about. It's just an over bet. You're going to get a lot of Giant action, a lot of people on that DeVito bandwagon right now. I
look at this and Carr has just been awful. Now, he's been knocked out of a couple of games, but he's so inconsistent. So he could come out in the first half, light it up, throw for 250, and then the second half, throw for 75 yards and 3 picks. That's just that guy. So
yeah, I just think they'll be able to run on they're going to run the ball, and the Giants are going to run the ball too. So which generally you're like, well, 2 running game, that leads to an under. But I think there's going to be enough points scored here. The Giants defense is not that solid. They'll be able to get points on the board.
Houston, Tennessee. This one is in Nashville. And Tennessee is now a 3.5-point favorite. Total's 36.5, 37. This line 3 days ago was Tennessee minus 2.5. Now, again, Stroud's going to be out. Nico Collins going to be out. So you're left with Davis Mills against Will Levis. You talk about another emotional victory. How about Tennessee coming off that victory? 3 and a hook. I have no interest whatsoever in backing the Titans at more than 2.5 points, maybe 3 with the push. So if I had a lean here, I'd actually go with the Texans. With all this being said, 2 quarterbacks, Levis is starting to get it. Davis Mills, not too scared. I lean toward the under 37. What's the play here, Stats?
Yeah, I think this is a good spot. I kind of like this. I like Tennessee coming off that miraculous win and fading that team coming off a miraculous win, especially now you've got, I kind of think it's a good situation to be in without Stroud. I'm talking about from a betting standpoint, not necessarily. Obviously, they're better with Stroud, but I think the public here is going to just automatically jump off of. They don't want to bet Houston without Stroud. I think we're getting some value on the Houston side. I think everything points to this. Looks like a bet most people would not want to make. They wouldn't want to touch the Houston side of it. but I think it's the smarter play here. Most people won't be on it. If I lose, I lose, but I never worry about making the bet that most people don't want to bet and losing a bet. It's just a bet. But this is sort of everything comes. I've got models that like Houston, and it all seems to make sense to me just from a handicapping the market standpoint, where nobody ever likes betting the backup quarterback, especially when the starting quarterback has played so well. So I like that. It almost looks the points don't look to be enough, which is it seems like they're enticing they're enticing the Tennessee money, and the money is coming all on Tennessee. So I'm going to fade all the money right now and take the Houston side.
Yeah, again, 3.5. It's that hook. Divisional game. It's not like the Titans are a really good football team. I get it. Levis has been better, but I'm not back in Tennessee at 3.5. It's just not happening. 2.5, at least I'd consider it, but I'm not there. Bears Browns is our next one. The Browns are 3-point favorites at home. We've got Joe Flacco again, and then on the other side, it is Justin Fields. DJ Moore is questionable, should be playing. Bears defense has been much, much better as of late. And then we look at the Browns here defensively. We know what they can do. Good defensive team. So at this 38, I think the total's what stands out to me. If I was going to go and bet this game, it was actually at 38.5. Let's see here. It opened at 37.5, 38, 37. So now we're sitting here at 38.5. I got this 38.5. I look at the under in this game.
If you like the under, see, I think you have to like Cleveland, because I think the only way that Chicago wins this game is if it's a big Fields day.
Yeah.
So if it's not going to be big Fields, so I think you could play a little parlay here. I think if you like Cleveland, you take this game, you take Cleveland in the under. If you like Chicago, I think you take them with the over and take a shot on those parlays. But I like the Cleveland side of the game. I think Cleveland covers this game. The defense, I think, is too good. I think they will contain Fields. And I like what I'm seeing. Flacco's not doing anything spectacular, but the fact that offensive line's blocking for him, he could do enough. The Bears defense doesn't scare you at all. I think they're going to be just fine in a game like this. This is a perfect game for Flacco to put some points up on the board, to let that defense do what that defense can do, and they'll hold down Chicago. I think they cover the 3.
Like button would be great. We'd appreciate that. He's Stats. I'm Holden, picking winners. JBC will be back next week. Hopefully he'll get off this boat and everything will be fine, and we'll get your picks. If you haven't checked out the bet side of Run Pure, do it now. Giblets 44, GIBLETS 44, 44% off first payment. Jets and Dolphins. We got 2 more 1:00 games to get to. We'll start with the Jets and the Dolphins here. Your boy, Zach Wilson. See if he can put back-to-back performances together. I do like Garrett Wilson this week from a DFS perspective, but 37 is the total. Tyreek is questionable. Dolphins, 9.5-point favorites. They're just dangling that out there, aren't they? Stats. I saw at the beginning of the week a 10.5, and now it's just been sitting anywhere from 9.5 to 8.5. So you and I are very familiar with this rivalry. A lot of weird stuff happens. And if Tyreek has to be a decoy, I can see the Jets covering this thing easily. The line, very, very low total too, though. You're going to have to make Zach Wilson prove it to me again. I get it. He had a nice game at home. Good job. Way to go. This is a fade spot for me. I don't feel comfortable whatsoever on either side. If you told me that I get a 10.5, I'll back the Jets. What are you doing?
I think the Tyreek Hill situation is going to be crucial here. I think it's one of the few players positional players, non-quarterback players that I think is worth actually more than what the market gives him. So there's very few of those guys, very few guys that that can move a line at all, let alone be valued more. And I just think Hill here in this offense is actually, he's probably going to be worth a half point to a point on the real line. I think it should be maybe 1.5 to 2, which is a lot. I just think he's worth more after seeing this offense without him. So I want to see where he is. If he's out, I would favor the Jets on this play on the game. So I'm gonna take a wait and see. You're right. Even if he's not being used like Tyreek is being used, then you really like the Jets, because the Jet defense will be able to handle, if they don't have to deal with Hill, they'll be able to handle the rest of that Miami offense and keep this game low scoring and close.
I mean, Tyreek has not practiced all week, but there's one guy that I feel like, okay, it's Tyreek. He came back and played. He looked like he had a devastating injury, and then he came back and he played against the Titans. With that being said, I think they went deep to Achane. They didn't throw the deep ball to Tyreek. So that's a really interesting situation that we're going to keep an eye on there. Kansas City and the Patriots. So here's another one. This line has moved from 9.5 down to 8.5, 8, 7.5, back to 8 now. That's where I'm seeing this line settle. You can find offshore books at 8.5 or 9 if you wanted to back the Patriots. Ramondre is out, so keep that in mind. The Chiefs wide receivers had a big meeting this week about drops. They're just dropping the ball left and right. Chiefs are going to be pissed off Patrick Mahomes, but who's he throwing to? Rice? Kelsey? Is anybody else going to help him? I'm concerned about that running game with no Pacheco. That is huge. No Pacheco. Total here is 37. Here's another game. I kind of like the under. I just don't see the Patriots putting up points. So if the Patriots, how many points do you think the Patriots score in this game? You think they get to 13?
I don't.
So it's got to be an under spot because I don't see the Kansas City offense putting up, 30 points, 25 points.
Probably not. Points. No. Yeah, probably not. This is the Kansas City Buffalo game last week. Everyone was getting all excited from a DFS standpoint. I'm like, I didn't see it because Kansas City's offense just hasn't been that solid. They haven't been that great. And the Kansas City's defense has been phenomenal. I mean, it's been really good. So you're getting a pretty good defense going up against an offense here that is terrible in the Patriots. The sharp money came in when this got down to 7.5. That's why it bounced back up. When this got to 7.5, the sharps came in and hit it. And they pushed this one back up. I would lean here towards the Kansas City side. I think as bad as they are playing, as bad as the offense looks, I just don't think the Patriots could score enough to be able to keep this within the 8 points. I think they easily cover the 10. I think this is another one where maybe you take it up to 14, lay 2 touchdowns with Kansas City and take some plus money on this game. I think Kansas City, especially this is an angry Kansas City. You're playing an angry Mahomes coming off of what they felt they were robbed. They weren't, but they feel that they were slighted in that matchup with Buffalo. They need to win this game. And I think there's all sorts of problems with New England. And I mean, they're talking about getting rid of Belichick. The offense can't do anything. I can't see them. Like I said, I don't see them getting to 10. So if they at max scored 7 points, they cover this game. It probably stays under, and I think they could cover 2 touchdowns. So I would take an alt line here on the road.
Let me go find the team total. So New England total points, they set it at 13.5. That's exactly where they should have set it. Under 13.5 is -12. Over is -108.
Yeah, I like that. I like that under.
I mean, I don't love 130s, but under 14.5 really is sexy to me. If you wanted to go, let me see the little same game parlay here. If you wanted to take the Chiefs money line and parlay that with, it really doesn't do anything for you. So I wouldn't bother with that, but 13.5 total. I think that tells you all you need to know about the Patriots offense. Now we got these 3 games in the afternoon slate, and these are the fun ones. We got a total of 50, a total of 48.5. and another total of 50. So we'll start with the Commanders at the Rams. DFS wise, the Rams are going to be very, very popular. Wouldn't be surprised if we had, a bit of Sam Howell run back there. This line just stayed pretty steady at 6.5. He had a shootout last week. It seems like Matt Stafford has really gotten going here now that he has a healthier Kupp and Puka. And then the most important guy on that team is Kyron. And I've got a late window parlay. You're going to hate it because you don't like touchdowns. But you don't like betting touchdowns. But I got a CMC, Kyron Williams touchdown prop. Those are my 2 highest, most likely touchdown scores this week. I parlayed them plus 110. So let's start with this one. The total is 50.5 for the Rams and the Commanders. 6.5 is the side. I see the Commanders can keep it close. That 50.5 is a big number, though. Do they go over?
That's a big number. Yeah, I still think it goes over.
Really?
I do, but I don't love it as a bet. I do like Washington side a little bit. So I think the game stays close. I agree with you. I think the game stays closer than the 6.5. And the public likes the Rams, so the public money's been coming in on the Rams, kind of, not a shock there. Yet the line, we get this is a good reverse line move, and it's against the public. So I love that. So I like when the public's on one side, yet this line should have moved to 7.5. It went down to 6.5. That should tell you something. So I like I like the Commanders here to keep this game close. The total, I don't love it. If you're forcing me, I think there's going to be points in the game, so I'll take the over 50.5. But I like the plus 6.5. I'll take the 6.5 points here. I think it becomes a closer game than people think. Maybe, I don't know if they win this game outright on the road, but I think they'll be able to keep it maybe a field goal type of game.
I don't hate it. We'll go through these other two. We got some picks in our chat here. SWH, Titans money line in the over. Okay. All right. Smokestack thinks Flacco's still elite. He has been elite, no question.
I mean, he's easily top 15 quarterback in the league.
And that's saying something. That says something about the current state of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, again, go look at the first two games on Saturday, the shitty quarterbacks there. Niners, we're going to talk about the Niners here in a second. Smokestack's KC covering. Even though they suck, they don't suck. They're just got some issues here, and they're really going to have to figure out how to turn this offense around the last 4 weeks of the season, or they're not making that run. San Francisco at Arizona. It is now a 12 points. All right, I got an 11.5 at BetMGM, a 12 at points bet. I got a 12.5 at Caesars. So this thing's all over the place between 11.5 and 12. It's a big number. 48.5, 48 is the total. San Francisco just should come in here and absolutely rip this Arizona team apart. But again, a divisional game. You've got Kyler Murray now with a couple weeks under his belt, an Arizona team that's actually trying. Some of these teams have given up. Big T was just running me under the bus yesterday, but I was wrong. I didn't think that a team would give up like the Chargers did, but they did. They absolutely gave up. I don't think the Cardinals are giving up right now. So talk to me here. I just double digits, divisional game. I get it. San Francisco's awesome. I'd rather just go a player prop route. And as far as the total goes, let's hear from you.
Yeah, it's tough. I very rarely am I laying this kind of number in the NFL. So I can't do it. I can't lay the 12.5 with San Francisco. If I had to lean one way, it would be Arizona side. I don't like either side of the game. I think the total might be a little high, 48. So I would lean a little bit to the under. I don't love the game. Like I said, I might find some props in this game to play, but I don't love the side. I don't love the total. But if gun to my head, the play I like the best would probably be the under in this game.
Okay, let's see here. This is the big game we got right now. And for looking at all the lines, the sides, the totals, the money line, I use a site called unabated.com. Terrific site if you're a bettor. You can get just player props, sides, everything you need. I feel like you can find. It's not just NFL, NBA, college hoops, NCAA football with the bowls coming up. Let's do this one. This is a really fun one, Stats, and it might be the game of the weekend. The Cowboys, everybody's tooting their horns. The Bills, who's kind of on life support now. Isn't it interesting? One offsides call may have turned the whole thing around, because if that isn't an offsides call and the Bills can't come back, then McDermott's the worst coach in the world, and the Bills are just these itty bitty things. There's such a fine line. With all this being said, at some point in time, the Cowboys are coming back down to earth, aren't they? Bills are 1.5, 2-point favorites at home. The total is 50. I think you got to be a chalk donkey to bet the over. I rarely bet overs. Boy, do I like this over.
Yeah.
I think these teams are putting up points. I think Diggs is getting involved this week. I don't think there's any answer for CeeDee Lamb. Cook can get going. There's a lot of high-end skill position players here. I think Brandon Cooks is going to play too. So give me the over in this game. Again, the public loves betting overs. They're going to love betting this one. This is one I actually agree with.
Yeah, I'm going to lean to the over as well. So I like that call. I think Buffalo wins the game at home, though. So I think they'll cover this one. I agree with you. At some point, Dallas comes back down to reality. Buffalo starting to maybe put it together here, get that put. They've got to win. I mean, Buffalo's got to win this game. Both teams obviously need the win. Dallas not necessarily to make the playoffs, but Dallas wants to get that bye in the first round. But Buffalo is still trying to just get themselves into a team that could potentially win the Super Bowl, and they need to just get into the playoffs at this point because anyone could come out of that AFC. That's for sure. So I think they have a in front of that crowd, that 4:00 game in Buffalo. Weather again, I looked at it yesterday. Didn't look crazy. I saw possibly some wind and rain, so we'll see how that looks. But I think Buffalo wins this game. They cover the spread, and everything that Dallas did last week will be for naught.
Spread is 3 or less on either side. Josh Allen 18-11-1 against the spread. Not that it matters, but again, and then the Bills have won 16-19 at home. Pretty good home team. And I'm with you. I think they win. Smokestack, Allen turnovers. What's his interception prop? Because he's gonna throw an interception. I mean, that's if I had to set his prop, I would set it at minus 150. I bet you it's somewhere in the 140 range. I would just go 150.
I've got him. Yeah, I've got him projected for almost one pick, just under a pick.
Just under a pick.
I've got him projected at 0.96 picks. So
let me go find this here. What would that juice be then?
I can tell you in a second.
Oh, here it is, minus 150. Perfect. I did it perfectly. I like that. Under is plus 120. If you're throwing a same game parlay out there, I think you got to throw a Allen interception in there, though.
So you're laying 150 on the over?
I won't bet a 150. That's why I would throw it in the same game if I was doing the same game. But I think if it was a pick, yeah.
Yeah, minus 150. I mean, it's very just from my numbers. You're actually getting slight edge on that. Not enough for me to bet, but it is the better side.
Let me see if I can
even
find.
At minus 150.
Oh man, that's absolutely fat. Well, I got to go back to unabated. I just told you about it. I got to go to the props and we got to go find an interception prop because I wonder if you can find it in the 130s. There's no way we're going to be able to find it in the 130s. Actually, come to think about it, I have a hard time
because I have my app and we have
here. Allen.
Well,
I got a 159, a 150, a 172 on FanDuel. So the best price actually is the 150 at DK. 172, dude. What does that tell you?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
But
yeah, that's right.
I'll tell you what, the fair line should actually be about that. Believe it or not. I mean, if my numbers are accurate.
So 150 is actually
minus 170 is actually what, based on my projection, that's what the fair line should be, minus 170. So,
and don't forget this guy also runs for touchdowns too. So that could be something else you want to, run it with. If you're doing the same game, some of you do. I try to keep my same games to 2 bets. I think once you get to the third, it's too tough. It's way too thrown up in the air, and I don't want to bet that interception prop by itself. So I won't do that. Okay. I did want to talk to you about something else, and that would be the MVP market stats and Dak Prescott with that big nationally televised win. All of a sudden, he's right up there with Brock Purdy. I think the voters can do everything they can to not give it to Brock Purdy. And I'm just going to use the odds on DK. It's actually Prescott, the favorite, at plus 50, plus 85 for Purdy. And then my guy, Lamar Jackson, is just hanging out there, plus 475. Now, Jackson doesn't have much of any wiggle room. And I think you could take Hurts out of the mix for now. You could take Allen out of the mix. You could take Mahomes out of the mix. I think they're not going to give it to a wide receiver, but Tyreek, we know how valuable he is. I would actually put him up there. What do you think it's going to take for Lamar to win the MVP at this point? Because I still think if Dak does what he does, that he's going to just run away with this thing unless Lamar goes bananas. And we finally saw the Ravens put 2 halves together. What do you think about this MVP race? Is it bettable? Because I'm in preseason on Lamar. I'm just hoping at this point, and I'm not going to hedge with Dak.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't mind the Lamar. I mean, Lamar still has a shot, even at the plus 475 now. It's going to take from either side. They're going to have the best record overall. So, and Dak's not going to get the best record. They're not going to have the best record in the NFC. And they're probably still not going to win the NFC East. So I don't see Dak at plus 150. I just think is overvalued. I know he's been playing great here down the stretch. Their schedule is a lot harder here than Philly's is. So I would throw Dak out. I think it's between Purdy, Lamar, and possibly if just Hurts just goes crazy here down the stretch, he gets himself back in the running. But
Why are you
I think
throwing
Purdy
Dak
winds
out?
up winning it.
Why are you throwing Dak out?
Because I don't think they're going to win. I don't think they're going to give it to a wild card team, and I think they're going to be a wild card team. And I just don't think he winds up getting it. I think Purdy, if they continue to, the route here that they're going, they win the home field advantage, which they probably will. They'll get the 1 seed, and Purdy playing well. I think he winds up getting. Now, I think the knock on him will be they'll talk about it maybe being more of a team, and then if you get to Baltimore winning and getting the 1 seed out in the AFC, they'll look to Lamar being more of the team than Purdy, right? So Lamar being a bigger factor in his team getting to that 1 seed. And that's where you may possibly get Lamar sneaking past Purdy. I think it's between the two of them. And I don't mind Lamar still at plus 475.
See, the AFC is just crazy, man. And if you got questions, throw them in there. We can hang on for a couple of more minutes too. I'd like to get, in here with some more conversation, but no one I feel like is talking about the Ravens at this point. They're just not. It's all about the Cowboys. We're talking about, who else? The Chiefs are kind of flailing, and we got a team at 10-3 that really has not played great football for a full game. But again, we saw it last week in that walk-off return. And over the NFC, everybody's talking about the Cowboys. The Eagles are starting to hit a wall. The Niners, you and I both agree that they are the best team in the NFL. The Lions have kind of fallen apart. As we sit here right now, is it the Ravens to you? Because to me, this team defensively has come a long way. They were in a lull for years. They were, the Ravens defense is the best. They were in a lull for a long time. They have stepped up. They've got a terrific scoring defense. They've given up 218 points. I think that's the best scoring defense in the AFC. And then you got an offense where it seems like it's starting to click. Monken came in from Georgia, changed the offense around. We're not seeing Lamar run quite as much. I disagree, Smokestack. I think the Ravens are going to be the team that gets through. And I think this is the year that Mahomes will look back and say, all right, they just didn't have enough around him, and they're going to go address that in the offseason. What do you think?
I don't think there's any doubt. I don't like Kansas City. It's tough to like what Kansas City's doing. I think it's basically Mahomes trying to carry this team up. Now, if they could get something out of Rice, that would be key, right? So if Rice can step up and just give them another option outside of Kelsey, then maybe. But I agree right now, Baltimore is the front runner to come out of the AFC. I think it's San Francisco, Baltimore. Those are your two best teams. Dallas is a little bit behind them, and I think we'll get a good understanding of where Dallas is by the time we get through these next couple of weeks. So we'll see just how good that team is. So far, so good with the Philly test, but we'll see this week another tough one with Buffalo. That's why I think the plus 150, you know how it is in the NFL. I mean, these things every 2-3 weeks, everything gets flipped on its head, and who we think is the best teams and who we think are not. So that's why in the with the MVP race, I think Dak, if you are buying Dak, if you're going to put money on Dak at plus 150, you are buying at the ultimate high right now. Not worth, even if he wins the MVP, it's a bad bet. So I'm always looking, where can I get some value? Where can I go where no one's really talking about Lamar right now. So that can change real quickly if he runs the table, just puts up some big monster weeks, which is certainly capable. Listen, he had a great week last week. He puts 2 or 3 more of those weeks together. They secure the 1 seed. Maybe, Brock, again, they may knock Brock. Like you said, they're looking for an excuse not to give Brock Purdy the MVP. And I get it, because you've got CMC, you've got Debo, you've got the weapons around him where maybe he doesn't get the credit of being the quarterback that is leading the team to that promised land. So Dak's getting a lot of credit right now. I think you have to fade him. And I think you have to look at probably Lamar as being the best option with some value on the board.
And then the Ravens, we got the Niners as heavy favorites to win the Super Bowl. And then at 250, the Ravens at 600, the Chiefs at 650. Those are the top 3 teams. The Dolphins at 800, the Eagles at 800, and the Cowboys at 850. I must say, I'm a little surprised, being such a public team, that there isn't more money coming into the Cowboys and pushing them up. past the Eagles or maybe even the Dolphins.
It's because they're not going to win the division,
as we know, and I think you and I would agree they're just not even close to being as good as the Niners.
No, we've been saying it. I mean, look, we've said it all year, and it's by the end of the year, things usually start to play themselves out, and we're seeing the Niners are the best team. I don't think there's any doubt about it. People were arguing with me with the power rankings all year, and the power rankings there's no input from me other than, my fingers on the keyboard typing in the data, but I have no personal input in there. And San Francisco's been right at the time. Baltimore's been right there with them for a good chunk of the year, and the Philly fans were losing their minds when Philly was, a one-loss team. Now they've come back down to earth, and their ranking hasn't dropped all that much. They've kind of just been they're just sitting at where we thought they should be, because now they've played a couple of teams that are potentially better than they are. I mean, certainly San Francisco is, and Dallas right there. Either if they're not, they're better than them at this moment, but those teams are pretty close. So we saw Philly kind of drop down, come back to reality. The Philly fans have piped down a little bit, but they're ultimately going to win the division. And
you think they bounce back then and make that run? I still think that they can. I think they just went through a gauntlet, man. And just like when we were talking about San Francisco, after that third loss, you and I said they're going to be fine. They're still right up there. Maybe not the best team right now, but they'll be back. And I wonder if we're going to be saying that about Philadelphia when it's all said and done.
I don't think so, right? Because I think Philly, here's a key stat. Philly, the one of the key stats you have to look at is passer rating differential. I don't know if I brought it up on this shit, but I haven't looked at it recently. But looking at it going into the Dallas game, they're probably negative now. Philly was basically flat, if not negative, in passer rating differential. Ooh. You look at the San Francisco and Dallas were like, San Francisco was way up. San Francisco was like mid-30s or something like that last time I looked in pass rate, which is a very high number. It's one of the better indicators of success as far as Super Bowl champions. Also, something as simple as scoring margin is another one. And you look at the scoring margin for the Eagles compared to some of these other top teams, it's not there. It's an indicator that, you've gotten lucky. The ball's bounced your way. I've said this with the Eagles as well, that they are very efficient because of their fourth down efficiency. They do score and exceed their expectations from a statistical standpoint, but I don't think they don't have the defense. Let's just put it this way. Forget about Hurts. I love Hurts. Love what he can do. Their defense is just not on par with what San Francisco's defense could do to you and what Dallas's defense can do. So I think it's going to be a very quick trip in January for Philly. Okay.
Very good. Great stuff, buddy. Giblets 44% off your first payment. GIBLETS 44. So check it out if you're a subscriber. You guys will be posting some of the NFL plays when stats later today or just more Saturday, Sunday. Yeah.
What's that? I had a very important text message come in.
The girlfriend or the mom?
No. It's a business text message. So
okay, it wasn't the future wife. No. So when do the bets start getting posted for the NFL? When are we going to see them up?
We'll start seeing them. You'll get bets for tomorrow's games tomorrow morning, and then we'll have some NBA getting posted up there tonight. Very shortly.
Everybody enjoy it. This is fun. This is grind time here the next 2 Saturdays. We've got football. We'll also have a game on Christmas, which is on a Saturday too. So whole bunch of NFL coming your way. Sign up, hit the like button. We'd love that as well. For Stats, my name is Holden, and keep running pure.